Hello. Hi, everyone. Uh, Welcome to the Royal Exchange's National Careers Week live event. On this, well, depending on where you are in the country, rather grey Friday afternoon. But thank you, all of you, for coming along to it. And yeah, let's kind of just jump straight into it. So this live event is we're going to be talking to these professionals who are here with me about their jobs, how they got into them, their paths, and what they're currently doing now. So first of all, I'm going to be asking individuals some questions, and then later on, I'm going to move on to some questions that you guys have submitted via the sign-up form. So we'll hopefully be able to cover some of the questions that you've submitted. Obviously, there was a lot of questions submitted, so I might not be able to get around to all of them, but hopefully we'll be able to answer some of the questions that you do have. So first of all, I should probably introduce myself. My name's Isa, and I work for the Royal Exchange. I'm the Children and Young People Coordinator, so I kind of deal with all the stuff that we do with children and young people in the theatre and outside the theatre in the Greater Manchester kind of area. And I'm going to now introduce our panel. So first I will go to Serena.
Hi everyone, so my name's Serena. I'm the payroll officer at the Royal Exchange. I work with the finance team and the HR team.
Thanks, Serena. Next, I'll go to Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy. I'm the costume partner at the Exchange.
Thank you. Ish.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Ish Shaladi. I'm an actor. I work across stage, screen, radio, and I've performed at the Royal Exchange a couple of times.
Thank you. Liam.
Hi everyone. So I am the digital content partner at the Royal Exchange, and I also run a production company on the side as well.
Brilliant. And Justina.
Hello, I'm Justina. I'm the artist coordinator at Royal Exchange.
Awesome. So without any further ado, let's get into the questions. So I'll kick off with you first, Liam. What made you decide on digital marketing? Like, how did you come to do your current job?
So digital marketing's quite a massive industry at the minute. So any way you see a video really, or the majority of videos people see is through digital marketing, through like social media and stuff like that. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. And I want to say I knew that beforehand. And I want to say that I'm an expert in it, but I'm not. I absolutely fell into this job. So about 3 or 4 years ago, me and 2 friends started making videos, started making films. We've done music videos, we've done all sorts of stuff. And we just kept kind of doing that. We formed a company. I was working in pubs, bars, cafes. I think I worked in a burger stand for a bit. Anything basically to get some money together. And then I saw this job come up, making films, filming full time, making videos. And I just went for it. I didn't really know much about theatre before, didn't know much about marketing before. But yeah, kind of fell into it and learned as I went along, really.
That's really interesting. Thank you. And I suppose there's these kind of jobs within a theatre, there's so many different paths to get into them. I wouldn't even say there's a traditional route to a degree. There's not really a traditional route.
No, it's not. That like with this sort of work, I think it's like, there's all sorts of skill sets you can take across all different jobs, and I think like if everyone went through the same route to work for a theatre, it'd probably be a bit boring. It's quite good that everyone's coming to it in a different angle, really.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, I got into my job through, I was part of the Royal Exchange Young Company for 2 years. And then I went on to do some freelancing. And I always kept that relationship with the Royal Exchange up. I always kind of kept in touch with them. And then I saw this job and I just thought, what a great opportunity to kind of give back to something that gave so much to me. And it's not necessarily something that I imagined myself doing at this kind of point in my life. But yeah, honestly, it's been kind of such a great experience learning something new and working within a theatre as well. It's such a kind of great ongoing learning experience. Yeah. I mean, speaking of also performing as well, Ish, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
My bad. What would you say the most important factor for moving into kind of this sector for a career?
So, I mean, when moving into this sector, I suppose you got to, I mean, I think you've got to have a real like open mind for things, don't you? Really, like you need to want to, you want to have something that you want to say. It's that storytelling theatre, essentially. So it's like you've got to want to tell stories. You're going to want to help with that. You want to work with people. I think like a lot of artists and stuff have a real idea of like the stuff they like to watch, the stuff they like to, you know, see people do, and they've got a lot of things that they want to express as well. So it's about developing your taste and things like that. And so to move into this sector, I think, yeah, you got to have to have drive. You got to like want to do it. For certain, there's a lot of people wanting to do it, but you need to have a sort of broad base of experience, like life. You need to, you know, like it doesn't really matter. As you just said, you can come from anywhere and any place and do this and work in theatre, and that's the joy of it. And it's better when it is like that as well. And you can take a traditional route. You can do the training. That's absolutely definitely the thing that, and you know, for some people, that's exactly, you know, a way to go about it. There's no specific time as well to do it. You can, you know, I know people who are entering in the industry very late on. I mean, I only started professionally acting when I was 27. So I came to it quite late, comparatively. And, you know, there's some people who, you know, who are doing it when, you know, when they're about 5 steps out the womb, you know what I mean? So like, it's, you know, it's wherever, you know, it's whatever you want to, you know, and I think it's about trying lots of different things. Like, you know, if it's filming, if it's radio, if it's making stuff, if it's doing, I did everything as a kid. I was on the stage crew at school, and as well as like acting, as well as like, you know, dancing and producing stuff as well. So like, I tried a bit of everything. And that just gives you a better understanding of the people that you work with and makes you a better member of the team as well.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. And would you say there is like kind of any good things to do, like i.e. like volunteering, or is it like something that you think you should go out and try get qualifications for, or is it about is it more about who you know and like your persistence to chase those people? Like,
I mean, it can be about who you know. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, that can always help. Don't that's it. Does not say, to say that's not the case would be silly. But like, I think if you want to, if you want to do it. Just make stuff. Like, go out there, you know. And think, Liam, you say you made videos. That's brilliant. Like, you can make stuff and express yourself, and also develop a taste. Find the stuff that you will like. Watch things. And go to things, you know, by doing things like the Zoom thing as well, but like doing loads of other masterclasses, stuff online. You can train, you could go to drama school if you're acting, you can go, you know, develop your skills, get a proper degree if that's what you want. But you can, I know people who go to youth theatre. National Youth Theatre is a great thing for actors, and that's a really great for a training process, slightly different to a formal drama school, but also equally valuable. And then working in a theatre, like you say, volunteering, or working with, you know, going to your local drama club, you know, and doing all of that kind of stuff. All of that's brilliant. But especially with social media, especially when you've got a phone and you can make videos and you can do stuff, you can practice at home. You can do so much by yourself now and watch yourself and learn and get better at things, I think. And there's no one way and there's no right way. There's just your way, I think, you know.
thank you. Thanks so much. And just on that as well, like anyone who's watching who's in the Greater Manchester area, look up Royal Exchange Young Company. National Youth Theatre it's similar, but yeah, if you're looking for something local, 100% look up Young Company. I did it, and honestly, it gave me so many experiences, so many opportunities, and I can see Justina's nodding, who was also part of the Young Company. Honestly, yeah, it gives you so many kind of insights and skills and opportunities. It really is something definitely worth looking into and definitely worth going for. But thanks for that, Ish. I want to move over to Tracy now. We've heard about the obvious role within theatre, which is acting, which is obviously a massive part of it. But I just wanted to know, like, how necessary did you find out about kind of the other roles within a theatre? Because you didn't necessarily come from a theatre background before you got into this job. So I just wondered, how did you find out about your role and I suppose other roles as well?
Okay. So I working in the costume department of the theatre wasn't my first job. I started off after further education college as an insurance clerk. And then that wasn't for me. I spent about 7 years there and decided I wanted to change what I was doing. I was really into fashion at the time. And I went and did, I was doing a degree at Manchester Met in fashion production. And during that time, I had to support myself as well. So I looked for a bar job and I ended up working on the bar at the theatre. And there was all these amazing costumes that I was seeing all the time. And I decided to kind of interrogate that and find out, where do they come from? And because I hadn't really thought about a career in costume before, it hadn't occurred to me. But the more I went and quizzed the people in the wardrobe department, and the more I interacted with it, the more kind of I was into it, because I thought it combined lots of different kind of styles of clothing, lots of different periods. It told a story, which I was really into. And you got to work with loads of different people all the time. You got to see the people that were actually going to be wearing what you were making or what you were sourcing, and the end result from it. So that's how I got into it, really. I kind of did lots of work experience in the wardrobe department whilst I was doing my degree. And in my placement year, which I did a full year in Colchester, I also dressed in the West End at the same time. And ever since then, I've kind of like, I've been working in costume.
That's amazing. And it's such a great story how you've kind of found your way into theatre, like, and you know, it wasn't something that you necessarily were aware of from the start, and you found your way into it. And that's such a kind of inspiring story. So thank you for that. And I mean, yeah, like, I didn't realize how many jobs kind of existed within a theatre. You know, in terms of jobs, even like an engagement, I didn't realize that was, you know, such a big part of the theatre. Development, which is all about kind of like fundraising, I didn't realize existed. And even really, really obvious things like finance. I like, obviously a theatre has a finance department. That's so needed. But it never kind of computed in my head that like they are jobs within theatre, like that within a theatre, within a producing or receiving theatre house. So yeah, and I just think it's there are so many jobs out there that are worth kind of looking into, because there's always crossover from those jobs, even if they're not kind of creative or performance based. There's always crossover to be able to work in a creative environment. And that brings me on to my next question, which is to Serena, which is, why did you decide to work in finance within a theatre and the arts, you know, as opposed to like a law firm or a bank, or, you know, like any other type of company?
Yeah, so I've worked with lots of different companies. I've worked in a firm of accountants, so I've done like hundreds of different type of payroll for different companies. But I think a lot of people associate finance with just banking or large companies, and they don't realize that there's so many businesses that need finance, be it in-house or be it outsourced. So for the size of the theatre that we need it in-house, because we need to know, are we kind of making money on this show? Are we okay? Are we going to be able to pay the staff? So I think a lot of people just think that there's like an outer team, an external body that does that. But for us and the size that we are, we have it in-house. So yeah, I've worked with a lot of different companies, but what drew me to the theatre, I love music, I love art, I love the theatre. The Royal Exchange is one of my favourite theatres. So it came a time in my career when I was looking for a job and the theatre came up, and I just thought, that's for me. So I came and I saw the offices, and obviously I'd been to the theatre so many times, but I'd never been onto the other floors, and I'd never seen what the corporate offices would look like. So I was really blown away. As some of you will know, those 3 flights of stairs are so big. And I was in awe, because even myself, even though I know that there's a finance team within the Royal Exchange, and there would have been, it was just great to be part of that team and see it. And the added bonuses, I love music, and sometimes when there is rehearsals going on and there is shows going on, we get to hear it, which is great. So yeah, I think what drew me most to the theatre was because it's one of my favourite.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Serena. And yeah, I mean, at a time at the moment when money is so tight and there's no shows on, the people holding the purse strings are so important. It's so important. Justina and Tracy, I mean, there aren't any shows on at the moment, which is obviously such a kind of strange time for a theatre to exist in, when we can't make shows and we can't produce performances. So could you tell us kind of how your job role has changed, or any differences that there have been in your roles since there are no plays on? Like what kind of are you doing? What occupies your time while there's no performances?
Okie doke. So while there are plays on, what my job consists of as an artist coordinator is making sure that the cast know where they're going. So what theatre they're going to, Royal Exchange, where they're staying if they're coming from a different place, how they get in there, what time they need to be there for. Also liaising with the creative team. So that's like the directors, designers for lighting, the set and sound, and if there's a choreographer, if it's a super big musical, and making sure everyone's essentially communicating with each other effectively and no one's missing any pieces of information. And that also feeds internally to the Royal Exchange too. So where there's a lighting designer that's external, they work with the internal Royal Exchange lighting team to make sure that their vision actually happens on stage. And because the Royal Exchange is such a kooky building, it's not your conventional like proscenium arch, which is like your TV screen. It's in the round. So you definitely need the expertise of the Royal Exchange team in-house to be able to like guide and facilitate a designer's dream for making that happen. So it's a lot, my job is a lot about helping our producer and artistic directors and creatives communicate with one another all around. And how that differs when there's not a play on is thinking about things like the systems that we might use to record who's coming to the theatre. Are we using pen and paper, or are we using Microsoft Word? Also thinking of the different places that people might stay. So are they staying in a hotel, which is just a room? Or are they staying in a part hotel, which is a place that has like a little kitchen fixture? And what places in Manchester do that? And are they willing to like have a bit of a deal with Royal Exchange to make that happen if we use them more frequently? So the difference being, it's still based on communication, but it's whether I'm communicating with people to make the shows happen, or it's whether I'm fixing or reworking communication systems to make sure that when we are up and running again, God willing soon, that's working better and it's more of a well-oiled machine, and it's regenerated, and we know who the people are that are doing things and who the people are that might have moved away and aren't doing things. So yeah, just keeping the communication going.
Thank you. And Tracy, costume, like what's that like with no shows?
Okay, so when we are rehearsing for shows, I've got a really busy time on, because I'm working with the designer to facilitate their vision, and with a team of costume makers, I'm sourcing fabrics, we're measuring performers, We're making costumes or buying costumes and doing fittings. It's a massive kind of collaboration. It's very busy. You're meeting lots of different people. There's stage managers. There's all the different departments having production meetings, etc. And then into technical and dress rehearsals, which you observe and make alterations from, etc. But now that there's not any shows in production at the moment, then it's a time for planning, really, and a time to kind of like think about any training that you might want to do, time to organise the stock that you've got there already. We've got a vast stock of costumes that need to be organised and maintained. There's also stuff like I'm doing projects around kind of sustainable costuming, and what's good for the environment and how costume impacts upon that. So there's plenty to kind of get on with and keep busy, but I do miss the actual production process.
Yeah, and just on that, sustainability is such a kind of important thing to us as a kind of whole theatre, and it's so great to know that, like, everyone is kind of clubbing together to make that kind of sustainability goal an actuality. And it's just brilliant to hear that from costume all the way through to like just paper recycling, like we are making sure that everything we do is sustainable and impacts the globe in a positive way rather than in a negative climate way. Awesome, thank you. Speaking of obviously no plays, Ish, how was your year? Like, how was your last year been? Like, what's
so sad. I mean, every single time we talk about theatre and plays and things like that, it just feels a bit sad that I've not, it's been so long since I've been in a packed house, and it is sad that it's going to be a while before we'll get that joyful experience again. Yeah. But the last year has changed everything, obviously, for everybody. And I think obviously paramount is people's safety and health. And then, once we get that sorted, then we can go back to doing what we all do and doing it as well as we used to do as well. But yeah, I mean, the way that we've worked has changed completely. Everything is socially distanced. We are wearing masks, there's, and which is all good and absolutely exactly how things should be. Lots of this sort of online. I've done readings online. I've done auditions online. I've created my own little home recording studio. So I've been recording a couple of audiobooks from home. And, I did a, radio program and I did it, we do it all live from home, and it's really exciting. And I mean, it's a completely different way. I mean, it removes the joy of being with people, but it's also, there is something lovely about just sort of, being in pajamas and working from home, as well. So there is that. So it's good to invest in that kind of thing. And, I've got a new mic and some installation equipment, and I'm in my little hallway over there, surrounded by duvets recording. And yeah, things there. So there are some good things. But I can't wait till we're back in a building, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I can only assume that we all feel the same as you. There isn't anything quite like seeing live theatre, but it's great to hear that companies and productions are adapting to this working from home so well, and creatives are being able to adapt their kind of creative output so that they can still produce things, they can still work on projects, and ultimately still get paid as well, still have jobs and still have money coming into the bank. So, it is so kind of inspirational to see how the arts community has kind of navigated through these very strange times and quite alien times for the artistic community. So yeah, thank you for that. So earlier we heard about the different jobs in theatre, and I'm now interested. I know your history, Justina, but I just want to know, I know you've done quite a few different jobs within theatre. So yeah, I'd love to hear about some of those.
Okie doke. Okay, a crash course in what I've done. So as you said, I started out in the Young Company. I did 3 years there. And that was alongside my training in acting. I went to the Arden School of Theatre. And so I was doing acting on one train and like stagecraft on the other train. And so with Royal Exchange Theatre, I studied technical theatre, which was like an amalgamation of stage management, set building, production, which was what my third year ended up being. And we got to work on really amazing productions like Brink with the designer Frankie Bradshaw. We also did quite a few, the memory came to me one time of making a thumb, which was really interesting. And then which later on down the line transpired to when I was a performer in the production of Brink, because some Royal Exchange productions, because we are about making sure that we're serving the community as well as the community being part of the productions. So with the show Skriker, there was a huge community ensemble that was part of Skriker for the midsection of the play. And during that play, it was this huge, crazy banquet where the main character was being fed body parts of a witch. So I was like, so that's why that's useful. There was like huge thick legs and like an arm coming through on a platter, and it was super gross and like adorned with grapes and stuff. So it's good to know they were being healthy. So I did that performance alongside stage management and producing. And then once my performance, once I graduated from performance, the Royal Exchange job came up for marketing and communications assistant. And I'd had a bit of experience with marketing in terms of like letting people know of what shows were going on in Manchester while I was doing my 3 years of performance, putting together bits of like story to describe other stories, which is essentially what marketing is. So I was like, okay, well, I know the Royal Exchange pretty well. I know how your shows work. Let me apply for this. And thankfully, I was able to do that role, and I did that role for a year. And then I realized I like being a bit closer to the making process of what goes on the main stage and in the studio space at the time. So when the assistant producer role came up, I was like, oh, okay, I've had a year at Royal Exchange being further in from the young company side. I stepped up to marketing and comms. I understand the rehearsal process, as I had to sit in for some in my marketing job. I applied for that role, and again, thankfully, I got that role, and that's kind of the position that I'm in now. So that's my journey along Royal Exchange, and then in tandem with that, I perform outside. So it's a lot about juggling schedules. I have many color-coded electronic diaries because I lose paper diaries, and that skill also helps me inside Royal Exchange when you want to get many busy people together, just flicking through their diaries and seeing if there's like a blank line that coincides with everyone, and you can just grab that. You get skills from many different parts of your life, and so long as you're able to tell the story of those skills in a way that serves where you're trying to go, then it will usually be helpful. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, 100%. Thank you. Thanks so much for that. And yeah, I'll never, ever forget this. I remember it was my first day of my second year of Young Company, and we were having this big Young Company launch. And Matt introduced you, who was the Young Company director at the time. He introduced you and said, hi, this is Justina. And she used to be part of the Young Company, and now she's working as an employee for the Royal Exchange. And honestly, if it hadn't been for like kind of seeing you and seeing your kind of progression route, I don't think I would have had the confidence to go for this job myself. So I mean, yeah, you're part of my origin story.
Oh, dude, thank you. I'm happy that I was super hyped when you came to work at Royal Exchange as well. All about that young company progression and growth into the industry.
And it totally is. And that's one of the kind of greatest things that Young Company gave me, is that kind of sense of progression through various different things. So when I was in college, I was studying at Pendleton Sixth Form College, and I also was part of the Young Company at that time as well. And it kind of gave me so many different things to also bring to my college kind of classes, and also all the work that I was doing outside of college as well. It gave me so many skills. It gave me performance opportunities to improve my confidence, and just also fully understand a kind of proper theatre making process, like from start to finish, like even before rehearsals, like before like the script is made. Like it gave me kind of a real kind of idea of how it works and how the industry works. So it was really, really great in terms of the experiences and knowledge that it gave me. And then after I finished college and I also finished Young Company, me and some friends decided that we wanted to set up our own theatre company. We were like, we have all the foundations. We had Young Company writers, we had Young Company directors, we had Young Company performers, we had producers. Like, we had all the kind of building blocks that we needed to make our own work and our own theatre company. And that is exactly what we did. We formed together in September 2018 after we finished in August 2018. And then by February 2019, we were doing our first show on the main stage of 53-2 Theatre, which is a small little theatre down by Bridgewater Hall, underneath the kind of railway arches that the metro line goes over. And that was such a kind of great experience for me, just being able to create our own work and have that kind of pride that this is us, this is the work that we've made. And that theatre company is Switch Manchester, and we are constantly trying to make new work. So have a look at Switch Manchester. We are there and trying to make ourselves present in the Manchester scene. But yeah, and then alongside the kind of work that I was doing with Switch, I also took up some freelancing opportunities to help out in my old high school. So I went back to my old high school and helped direct GCSE and A-level pieces, and also just ran some workshops and facilitated some classes, just to kind of help diversify what they were learning and what they were kind of exposed to during their time at high school and their kind of time in those GCSE and A-level drama classes. And then I was contacted by the Royal Exchange to also help out as a freelancer on some projects they were running out in an area of Manchester called Duckenfield. So again, that kind of link with the Royal Exchange came back to help me. And then after I had done that, that was in the summer of 2019. And then after I did that, I started this job. Well, I interviewed for this job first, and then started this job in October 2019. So, I mean, it was a busy year, making a theatre company, putting on our first show, freelancing in a high school, and then getting this job. But it was such a kind of amazing experience for me to kind of like all my experiences before that year started, like up until August 2018, all my experience had been basically just performing. I had learned about other things, but I'd never actually been able to experience it myself. And that year, just going out and trying out all those different things, trying out directing and also facilitating in a high school. I also started doing a bit of writing as well, and started performing some spoken word stuff, which was just really interesting and a kind of great learning curve for me as well. And then, yeah, facilitating and freelancing, it was just a kind of really great learning curve. And all of it just kind of blended together to create just a really like all-rounded year of just experience of the arts, or like the theatrical arts in general. And it was a really great experience. And I would highly suggest it to anyone to just go out and try different things. Like, don't necessarily just commit to performing because it's the only thing that you've done. Definitely go out and try those other things, because you can't say no to something until you've tried it, because otherwise you have no experience to base that decision on. So 100%, I'd say definitely go out and just try different things. Keep in touch with high school teachers and college teachers, because honestly, they can be your next like part-time employer. They can be the next person who gives you the opportunity to try out some directing work, or to try out just some facilitating or some workshop ideas that you might have. They are excellent links. So definitely keep in touch with your favorite high school teachers. Honestly, it is so worth it. Now I'm gonna come back to you, Liam. What's one thing that your job has allowed you to do that you never imagined doing?
I guess firstly, not on that, but I'd completely agree with what you just said, Isa. I think you have to keep in contact with people, and I know you said it, Ish, as well. Like, a lot of it is kind of who you know, I guess. Like, going from what I did, I never went to film school or anything, so it's not really like I went down that route and knew that was what I was going to do. I really got a lot of opportunities from an old lecturer from uni, who really helped me out, really helped my mates out when we were making films. So really, like, keeping connected, and mates as well. Like, if you got creative mates, like, keep in contact with them. Obviously, always have the mates that you want to go to the pub with, but keep the creative ones as well, definitely. One thing that my job's allowed me to do, I guess that, yeah, I started last January. So, like, my first year in the Royal Exchange Theatre has not really been in the Royal Exchange Theatre. I think I had 2 months of doing my normal job, and then 10 months of sitting in my pants on my computer doing my job. So, like, it's been a bit of a bizarre year, and I've, like, got to know loads of people from work through these little rectangular little boxes rather than actually in person, meeting some quite famous people in rectangular boxes while I'm in my bedroom and they're in their living room. Like, just kind of a bit bizarre, doing lots of digital projects and stuff like that. So anything really that the theatre's brought out in the last year digitally, I've had kind of my hand in, really, whether it's in the creative side, whether it's recording it, whether it's editing it. And I guess that's one thing I wouldn't imagine of doing is, so before last January, my knowledge of theatre was, I'm not going to lie, I didn't really know much about theatre. I'd never stepped foot in the Royal Exchange until I filmed my application video with you, Isa, to get this job. So I didn't know much about theatre, and a year later, I've essentially made quite a lot of digital theatre. So I've been involved in the creative side of it, which is, yeah, I would not have imagined doing that in the past year, but it's obviously been bittersweet because it's been a bit of a hard year, but also it's kind of presented a lot of opportunities for me to do some really interesting things and work on really interesting and creative people that maybe I wouldn't have done as quickly if I'd have been in the building. Maybe it wouldn't have happened as quickly. I wouldn't have been involved as much in the work as I have been. But yeah, and that's a massive shout out to the people at the theatre who have made things happen over Zoom, over, like, what a weird world we've lived in for a year, where we've managed to make theatre and get actors to sit there and position their webcams and their phones and their, like, you know what I mean? Everyone's now an expert in filming. I'm going to be out of the job when all this opens up because everyone can do it now. And I've been teaching everyone how to do it, which was probably stupid of me. But yeah, I think that's probably what I didn't expect to happen. But then again, I didn't really know what to expect with this job. I just saw filming, making videos full time. And then what's happened has kind of happened. And I wouldn't take it back, really. It's been really interesting.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. And yeah, like, I mean, yeah, I suppose starting in that kind of starting in January, I suppose, like, even not expecting to be working from home, like, even just getting this job, you've probably done things that you never expected, like, to do, like, but yeah, it is like, it is a kind of strange old thing when you kind of have your mindset on certain things as you grow up, and that it can change so fast and it changes. Sometimes it changes with the world, sometimes it changes with personal preference. Like, I mean, as a teenager, I never imagined doing anything that wasn't performance based. like it was just something that I was loved so much and was so passionate about. But then like just taking that year to experience so many different things, and also like being in this job now since October 2019, just over a year and a bit. It's definitely something that I never imagined doing, and never it kind of just opened my eyes to so many different things that I could do, that I never imagined that I would, or some of them never even knew properly that they existed either. So it is to have that, and Ish said it before about that open-mindedness, and just kind of willingness to go with things. It is so important, because this world changes so fast, and it's always good to kind of have that open mind and that wanting to keep up with that, and that flexibility to change things as well, like to fit with, like, with what's going on. Thanks for that, Liam. Serena, here's a question for yourself. Would your younger self be surprised at the work that you are doing now?
Yes, definitely. I'm going to kind of follow on from what you guys were saying. My younger self would be mind blown at what I'm doing right now, because I've always suffered with anxiety. So I don't really deal very well with change. And I'm the same. So I started probably around the same time as Liam. And I was only in the building for a few weeks. And then it was kind of like, okay, COVID's getting really serious now. You need to go home, Serena, and work from home in a whole new company that I just started working for, because they were like, if you get ill, nobody's going to get paid. So I had to go home. And I was like, okay, this is brand new. I didn't even know enough people in the business. I didn't really know their procedures. It was all very new to me, because I'd not worked in a business like the theatre before. So yeah, my younger self would be completely mind blown at what I'm doing now. And following on from what you were saying about keeping in touch with your teachers in high school, and like your tutors. So like my college tutor, when I told her that I'd got a job at the Royal Exchange, she was like, oh wow, that's so great. And I remember offering her a couple of tickets to a show, and she was just mind blown that I could do that for her. And she was so proud of where I'd got to. So I think it's a really important point in what you mentioned, is keep in touch with people, because they can still help you. So like the Royal Exchange is completely different to what I'd done before. So the Royal Exchange is a charity. So there's a lot of different rules in terms of finance. So having those contacts help you to adjust to different paths in your career. But yeah, I think I'm proud of myself that I made it, because I wasn't always the strongest person when it came to exams and coursework. So I actually chose an apprenticeship to get into finance. I didn't really want to go to uni and have to sit through lectures and do all of that. So I chose an apprenticeship, and it was hard. Don't get me wrong, it was hard, but I learned on the job. So yeah, my younger self would definitely be mind blown, because a lot of people pushed me through that apprenticeship, got me to the end of it. The money definitely helped, because I was very young and I was earning a lot of money. But yeah, I think always try and push yourself, and don't, if you ever stumble, just go back to those people that have helped you before, be it a tutor, be it a high school teacher, be it just people around you. Like, always seek help, because I know with myself, with my mental health and not being the strongest person through college, always asking for help really got me to where I am today.
Yeah, and totally, I just want to echo that as well. Like that ability to ask for help is something that is so important throughout. It doesn't matter what job you do, it doesn't matter what industry you go into, that ability to just ask for help and admit when you're struggling with certain things is something that it's definitely something that you just kind of have to, if you have any problems with, you have to just kind of get over, because it's the only thing, it's only going to stop you from progressing. That admitting that you need help is such a kind of important thing to do. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I can't highlight it enough. In terms of progression, it is so important. Yeah, and also, you know, it's other things as well. Like if you're worried that even small things, like if you get a job and you're worried you're doing something wrong, asking for help means that you'll find the right way to do it. And then what, you know what I mean, it will definitely cause you less complications down the line if your job depends on doing certain things in a specific way. Like it will cause a lot less complications down the line. Also, you know, career help, if you need career help, then that is something that, you know, there are people in positions dedicated to making sure that you get the help that you need or want. So 100%, it might seem hard or scary asking for help sometimes. It might not always feel like the easiest or most accessible thing to do, but honestly, it is always in your best interest to just kind of ask help and get in touch with those people who are in the position to help you. But yeah, thanks so much for that, Serena. Also, does anyone else want to add any comments onto, like, I know that some questions were directed at certain people, but do you guys, like, do any of you want to add any comments on to other questions that have been asked? Justina?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, on top of what Serena and Ish and Liam were saying about asking folks that have like previously been your teachers, there's also because the way I found myself in Young Company, which started off my trajectory, was literally me scrolling through Twitter. I saw the Young Company being advertised on Twitter on a summer holiday, on the summer holidays when I was with my mum. And I just asked the question, how might I be able to join in? And from there, they were like, well, come along on this day, do this, this, and this, and just see how you like it and go from there. And I feel like quite a lot of the places that I've gotten into have been just a matter of me asking a question and someone answering my question and that leading to me knowing. It sounds silly, it sounds very obvious, but asking so many questions, I ask all the questions all the time just to figure out, I like that place over there. How do I go there? Because I see that you're in the vicinity. Could you answer a few of my questions, please? And that's usually how I've gotten from place to place in my journey. Because yeah, and that's also how I've met the people that have then gone on to help me, like Matt Hassel, who was a huge help, and I met him in Royal Exchange Young Company while I was at university as well.
Thank you. And Ish, did you want to...
Yeah, I wanted to follow on from what you were saying about and what Serena was saying about asking for help. I think it's such an important thing to do because people are so willing to help, and especially in this industry, people like helping. They really do. They're very positive, and you know, and I've always found that people have done their best to help me out. But also, it's not a weakness at all. It's actually a sign of strength. It's a real sign of strength to ask for help. It's knowing your limitations. It's also being able to say, I don't know how to do this. Can you tell me how to do it? And you can only learn and grow from that position. And I think being really aware of what you can do and what you can't do is all part of the journey. And we can often feel, especially when we start new jobs, when we come into a new cast or new production, that there's, you know, we can feel like, oh, do I have a right to be here? And you definitely do. Like, no one's, you know, not one person is better than another person. It's just everyone's got a different set of experiences and skills, and it's only through asking and helping each other out that we all get to go forward and move forward. And I think that's just really important, I think.
Definitely, 100%. Thank you. Yeah, and yeah, I really do want to echo that actually. That yeah, asking for help is like, it's a strength. It is a quality that you know, it's hard to build within yourself as well, like that. But if you do, honestly, it only will ever kind of benefit you. And yeah, Justina, asking questions, ask those questions. Get in touch with people, ask those questions all the time, because that's the only way you're going to get answers. the like answers aren't just going to drop out of the air, like drop out of thin air and land on your lap and say, here's the answer, this is what you need to do. No, you need to go and ask those questions first. Ask those questions and people will give you those answers. And if they don't, pester them. Go ask again. Like if you've not heard back in a week, email them again. Don't over email. But similarly, if you've not heard back in a week, ask them again. If you've not heard back in another week, find someone else. Go to their superior. No, but go find someone else. You know what I mean? Like there's always somebody out there who's got that information for you, and it's just about asking the right questions to the right people, and sometimes at the right time as well. But yeah, ask those questions. Serena?
Can I just add to this as well, that there's a lot of people that will probably be watching this right now, that could be in college, could be high school students, maybe thinking about what their future careers are going to be. And someone that suffers with anxiety and through high school and college wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do, and then chose to do an apprenticeship. A lot of you people watching this have been through a lot over this past year, and are probably still going to face a lot of change and a lot of things that are going to happen. Exams are being cancelled. You're going to probably get predictive grades. Maybe you might have to sit different exams to what you'd revised for. There's going to be so much change, but just seek that support that's around you and have conversations with the people around you as well, because everybody's in the same boat. Circumstances might be a little bit different, but everyone's kind of going through the same thing. And it doesn't matter if you change your mind and you start on one path. Maybe you might start an A-level for something, or you might start a uni course for something. And if you change your mind, it doesn't matter, because you're still following a path. You've still got an end goal. And wherever you will end up, you'll be happy because you've changed your mind and you've adapted to the situation. And that's what I had to do through a lot of my career. I've changed my role a few times. I've worked my way up. I've changed the companies that I've worked in. I've never worked in a charity before. I started at the Royal Exchange and I love it. And sometimes change isn't always negative. Just think of the end goal. So I just wanted to add that, because a lot of people have been through a lot this year.
100%. Yeah, that is so true. And like you say, everyone is in the same boat, and like I can't even sum it up. Like that advice is so key. And also just in terms of end goal as well, I heard a brilliant piece of advice at the start of this week. Was we need to stop identifying ourselves as nouns. We need to stop describing ourselves as nouns and describe ourselves as verbs instead. Don't say I'm an actor, say I'm acting. And that verb can change. That verb can change whenever it wants to whatever you are currently doing. Whereas it feels like a noun is very set in stone and that's what you are. Don't define yourself as a noun. Define yourself as a verb. Define yourself as what you are currently doing at that moment in time. And honestly, that it just changes your perspective so much. And yeah, that was such a great piece of advice that was given to me. And I'd like to share it with all of you guys. One last question, which is from me personally, which is, and a lot of you have already done it so far anyway, but what is just one piece of advice you would like to give out right now? Yeah, I'm gonna cop out and just give and say it was that piece of advice that I had just given there, which is define yourself as verbs, not nouns. But does anybody else have a piece of advice that they would like to share? I mean, you've all given great advice throughout. To anything extra to add, that's also totally okay. Like, Justina?
I think I would say it's okay to fail. And it's only through failing that you know what to do. So I guess Oprah Winfrey was fired and she was rejected from many jobs before she then picked herself up and went on to having her own channel. And in this unfortunate time period we're in at the moment, a whole load of people have been have found themselves in situations that they've never been before. They've had to try certain things that they might not have done and failed at it in a quick succession of time. But to be able to move forward, you have to take the lessons from that failure and apply it to your next steps. So make sure that, in fact, failing is needed. You need to fail to know what to do. So just don't be scared of it.
100%. No one gets it perfect first time. Ish.
I think that's really great advice. Just, you know, I would, yeah, I think that's really important. I think something that somebody said to me, there's no like one perfect job, and even all the jobs that we do, they're not always fantastic and lovely and wonderful and fun. like it's, you know, it is work, and you know, although it brings me so much joy to do what I do and to work with the people that I do, it's really important when you're considering any career, like what you're willing to suffer, like what the cost is of doing that job as well, because everything has a cost, and to make sure that when you look at any career in as holistic and as wholesome a way as possible. Yes, things can be really exciting. Yes, things can be really fun, but you might want a certain kind of lifestyle and things like that, and that's really important. Make sure you really think about it in every single facet. You don't need to have a clear goal, but it's good to think of things like, I want to be creative. I want to be working with people. I want, you know, and it doesn't need to be, I need to be earning £55,000 a year, and, you know, and I need, you know, like, you know, and a good pension. And I want to be living in, you know, in whatever house or whatever. It doesn't need to be as specific as that. Or it doesn't need to be, I need to have this specific role in this kind of TV drama. It can be something way more about the process, about how you feel whilst you do something as well, I think.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Brilliant. Well, yeah, if everyone is kind of done with that one, then I will move on to some of the pre-submitted questions that young people and teachers and colleges have submitted to us via the sign-up form. So as I said before, full disclosure, we probably won't get through all of them because there are so many great questions that you've submitted. I have tried to kind of condense some of the similar ones down. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of read through some, and I'm really sorry if we don't manage to get through your question. But yeah, I'm going to try and get through as many as possible. So one of the first ones was, what do you do in your downtime, or like when work is quiet or you're taking time off? Like, what do you enjoy doing in your downtime? We can go through everyone in order if you want a chance to think. Liam.
So I guess the thing that I've learned, like in the last year, is this is the first, I mean, like I said, I used to work in pubs and bars. I used to pour beers and shake cocktails. So this is the first like job, serious creative job that I've had, put aside from the filming stuff on the side. And even though that's absolutely brilliant and that's great, like it is still a job, and it's taken me a bit of time to remind myself that. So I guess in my head, I'm like, well, now I'm doing videos. I'm a filmmaker now full time. This is what I have to do all the time. I have to think about it. I have to read books. I've got to watch film every night. And I think after a while, I realized that that's just too much. So like you need them things in your downtime that have nothing to do with it. So I actually realized, considering I make films and stuff, I watch like the worst TV. Like I will just put a cartoon on every night. I won't watch like the latest films or something. Like I have to just, and obviously that's still watching something, but I mean, at the minute, like you got to make sure you get outside when you can. But yeah, in downtime, it definitely is. Everyone's got different like things they want to do. Like I'll go and play football, or I'll do whatever. Like it's important to have that thing that's almost completely different to your job in your downtime, and also like just to switch off, just to learn when to switch off, whether it's at 5 p.m, whether it's at 6 p.m, you know, just make sure you are switching off. But yeah, I guess, yeah, and keep doing the things that I guess, you know, people watching this might be, you know, like late teens, early teens, whatever, like them things that you do now, like in your downtime, whether it's knitting, whether it's football, whether it's boxing, or I don't know, like try and keep them going. Try and keep, a lot of people kind of get to a point, maybe like in their 20s, 30s, when they realize I used to do so much back then, and now all I'm doing is working. And it's like, you need to make sure that you're keeping them things going, because they'll be really important for you in your downtime.
Yeah, 100%. It's so important to switch off. And I think also, like in this time of working from home as well, like where your bedroom or your living room becomes also your office and your workspace, like that like kind of taking that time to just completely switch off from your job and work and just do the things that you enjoy doing is, yeah, so important. Thank you for that, Liam. Anybody else, downtime or free time or time off? Justina.
In my downtime, if it's a bit slow at work, I'll check up on the people I work with and see how they are and what they've been up to. And so I recently learned that some of my other colleagues play video games, and I'm super into video games. And that's also what I do when work is finished and I have my own personal downtime. So I'll play like something with some Super Mario game, or I'll play Overcooked, which is a fun new game that I just figured out. And or alternate to that, if I don't want any screens, I'll just close my eyes and put on an audiobook, which is super helpful. And it just with everything being on screens at the moment, it can be really, I have really sensitive eyes myself. So it's really good to get some time where I'm not actually sleeping, but I'm not looking at a screen. So audiobooks and podcasts are really helpful for that, as well as just getting new bits of information. As Liam said, that has nothing to do with theatre, because usually, eventually, it feeds back into theatre in ways that you won't really imagine it would. And then a bit of activity as well, roller skating on quads. That's super fun. But Manchester being what it is, sometimes it can be hard to find a smooth surface. So I've got lots of padding too.
Yeah, blue light filters on glasses. Get yourself a pair, even if you don't wear like prescription glasses, just get yourself a cheap pair of blue light filter glasses, because honestly, they will save you so many headaches. So many headaches. And yeah, Manchester roads. I used to skateboard a lot when I was younger and constantly graze knees all the time because yeah. Oh, in fairness, when I was growing up, my friend recently had his road tarmacked, and we were all like, let's go go skate on his road because it's recently tarmacked, and it was so smooth. It was brilliant, and the hype that we got from that was unmatchable.
It's always one sneaky little stone that you never see until it's too late.
Yeah, they also build tram tracks that are exactly the right size as a skateboard wheel, which I think they did on purpose, to be honest. I think, yeah, that's painful.
Yeah, in fact, on my first day of this job, I was cycling to work and got my bike tire stuck in one of those tram lines and went flying over the front wheel. That was a great way to start off the job on a rainy October morning. But awesome. Thanks for that. Anybody else downtime? If not, I can move on to the next question. Oh, Serena.
Just to add to what Liam said, I just want to tell like the young people that are watching, don't think because, for example, you're playing football and you get to like 20 something and you're like, oh, there's like no young teams that I can join anymore. Like so many people, like my partner, there's in his company, they have like teams that play together within the company. Like, don't think because you start working, you just have to let those things go. Like Justina was saying, Justina, me and you need to play Overcooked because I did not know that. So people within your work community that you meet can help you like keep those hobbies going, because you won't realize until you have those conversations with people. So it's really important. Don't think because you're going to get older you just need to leave things behind. I couldn't agree more, Liam. It's just so important that you just don't forget those things that you did.
100%. And yeah, like your colleagues are like, they are also a social group that definitely is like, you should definitely like stay in touch with and always be finding ways to socialize with, because it is like, you think sometimes you think like, oh, you know, you're with your colleagues and it feels a little bit like you're still in work, but honestly it doesn't. Like they want to relax and they want their downtime just as much as you do, and they want to be able to just chill out and have fun just as much as you do. So yeah, friends, colleagues, like just make sure that you keep it, especially in a time like now as well, like keeping your social life alive is so important. Awesome. Anybody else? If not, I will move on to the next question. Awesome. So what is the best advice you can give on what to do after graduating from high school, sixth form, or uni? Whichever one. Justina.
So after graduating, what I started doing was just making lists. So those lists would consist of what I actually wanted to do. Do I want to go into theatre? Do I want to go into performance? Do I want to do both? Or so then spiraling off that list, if I do want to go into theatre, what theatres do I want to work at? I don't know. I came to Manchester from London 8 or 9 years ago. I didn't really know Manchester, so I was like, cool, get on the internet, make a list of the theatres that are in this space and see what their email addresses are. So it's just a way that I chose to process like my thinking out loud rather than keeping it in my head, was just writing simple lists and building off of that. That could be a helpful tool.
Yeah, and that's something you can do throughout your whole life, whether you've just finished high school, college, or uni. Like, it's definitely a really good kind of practice to get into. Ish, did you?
Yeah. I suppose, I mean, this is for acting, but I suppose it's for anything really. I would say it's difficult now, but travel, go and see the world, like learn about people, learn about different cultures, learn about different things. And fine, we can't travel now, obviously, but you can travel through like watching documentaries, go and try and put yourself into the, you know, other people's shoes and read, and, you know, and podcasts are brilliant. There's so many really cool podcasts that you can learn about loads of stuff. And I love BBC Sounds. There's so much stuff on there that I keep finding new things on there to listen to, and learning about different cultures and traditions and weird things that people are obsessed by. And, you know, and theatre's all about weird people, and it's great. And I love that. I think you get to, you know, what you think is normal is just not normal. I mean, it's not, I mean, it shouldn't be when you do drama. Drama's not normal. It's very intense. And you should, and it gives you more, it just makes your mind go out like this. And I think that, you know, the more stuff you can do that can help you with that, I think is going to help you in any job, but especially as an actor, I would say as well. Oh, sorry, you on mute?
Sorry, Tracy. Sorry, did you just put your hand up?
I'd say try and pursue something that interests you. So at each stage, after GCSEs or A-levels or going to university, kind of have a think around what's still interesting you, and try and get in touch with somebody that's got a career within that sector and see if you can do a bit of work experience, or just go and ask them some questions about it. And the more that you explore things, the more you learn and see if it might be suited towards you.
100%. Serena.
Just to follow on from what Tracy was saying as well, when you're looking at your career, don't kind of get tied into like a really long-term contract as well, because I'm just speaking from a HR point of view. You want to have a really vast range of experience before you really settle down in something that you're going to stick at. So I've worked in a lot of different companies, and it was because I just wanted to build up my knowledge of how different places work and how payroll is run in different places, how HR rules are in different companies. So I think don't get stuck in the first job that you take, And also, don't take the first job that is offered. So when you get offered a job or you go for an interview and you really like it because the salary is like 30 grand a year, don't think that is the be all and end all, because you just need to have a look and see, where is my growth here? Where can I go from this path that I'm about to take? So definitely explore your options. And even if you do go for your first option, just remember you can change your mind a year down the line, 2 years down the line, you can start something new as well.
Definitely. I think, yeah, that is so important to just remember that what you're currently doing isn't set in stone. That's what you'll do for the rest of your life. Like, things can change, and changes can always be a good thing as well. Justina?
Yeah. So after graduating, I would say this is something that I didn't actually do, but I would say check in with your parents and carers, older siblings and aunts and uncles, and see what they're doing, see what their jobs are like, see also what they think your strongest skills are, because they might surprise you and help you pull out something that you didn't actually quite notice about yourself. Yeah, a funny thing that ended up happening to me was, the further along I got in the job I'm currently in, and the more in-depth conversations I started having with my mom about her job, I realized that we pretty much do similar things, just in different industries. And from there, I was able to ask her about the different electronic tools that she uses in her job to organize people and pull them over to my work at Royal Exchange. So your parents, carers, older siblings, your younger siblings as well, because I learn a lot from my little sister who's 14, for example, like how to use TikTok. And you never know what things that they're going through, they're learning, and they might be able to point you towards that will be really helpful to you.
Yeah, definitely. And like I was saying before, in a kind of world that's changing so rapidly and so fastly, like, it is always good to just try and learn from people, whether that's like you say, older who might have more experience, or younger people who are learning newer things that are more important to that generation. Like, there's a kind of big thing, like you say, with TikTok and just like social media and technology in general. Like, some children are able to do things on a computer that it takes me about 5 YouTube videos and about 6 like forums to be able to finally understand how properly to do it. So yeah, like there's learning experiences everywhere, like absolutely everywhere, and every day is a day to learn. And I think, yeah, that is, just because you've left an educational institute or you've left formal education doesn't mean you don't stop learning. It just means that you kind of learn by yourself, and it's on you to learn those things as well. Yeah. Any other advice for formal education leavers? No? Awesome. I will move on to the next question, which is, this is a great question. Is this the career you've always wanted? And it is kind of covered in the question about whether your younger self would be surprised by what you're doing. But yeah, it's like, is this the career that you've always wanted? I'll first of all say this was not the career that I always wanted, but I am so glad that I now have it, and I now have the experience of it as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, doesn't necessarily have to say, but yeah, like, yeah, is this the career you've always wanted? Eesh.
Well, yes and no. So I've always wanted to be an actor. Like, that's the first thing I remember I wanted to be, but it took me a long time to get here. But it's not the only thing I wanted to do. And I think, like, there's not, I'm also an A&E doctor. So I've been working in A&E for about 10 years and quite a lot this last year. I think I like working with people. I like people working with people from all different kinds of backgrounds, and and experiencing people's stories, and in helping people and doing all of that kind of stuff. I just like being busy. I like having things to do. I like working. I didn't know that those were actually the things that I wanted to do. So the actual job titles themselves didn't really matter as long as I had those kind of qualities to it, where I felt like I was, every single day of my life is different. And I love that. And I love that it can be intense, and then other times it can be incredibly rewarding and all of that. And I love it being up and down and dramatic and all of that kind of stuff. It's great. It's brilliant fun. But I suppose so. Yeah. So for me, I always wanted to be an actor. I'm really, really chuffed that I get to do it when I get to do it. But I also love being a doctor, and I love that, and I love helping people. And I always thought that you had to have one thing that you wanted to do, and once you've made that decision, it was sort of irreconcilable. And you couldn't move, and it's just not true. You can do whatever you want, and and I might change again. I quite like to direct, maybe, or produce, or I do like lots of things I still kind of want to do. And I don't think you've only got one life to live, and I just think you've got to do as much as possible and fill it with whatever, as Tracy said, whatever keeps you interested, whatever keeps you going through the day. Yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah, honestly, I could not agree anymore with that. Thank you for that, Ish. Anybody else? Liam?
So yeah, I guess it's kind of linked to the last question as well, or what we were talking about in the last question, in terms of like, I think Justina, you were saying like, look at your parents and look at kind of like the people around you for advice. I guess when I was younger, like I didn't know. I didn't pick up a camera till like 3 years ago, and I'm 30 now. So like, I didn't like, that took so long. When I was younger, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I did look up to a lot of family members. I mean, my family are all just big kids, so like I looked up to them, not necessarily kind of because I looked at the way they live their lives and how happy they were, and like they all do completely different things. Like I don't look at any of my family members as a job title, you know what I mean? Like their life, that what job they do, they obviously clearly enjoy it, because otherwise they wouldn't be so happy. But like, I think, where was I going with this? I think when I was younger, I didn't have a clue, but I knew what kind of life I wanted to live. And I kind of, as you experiment with jobs, you start to realize what you don't want to do, and kind of what kind of life you don't want to have. And this is complete personal experience, and not everyone can do it, and definitely people can't do it at the minute. But traveling, like you said, Ish, traveling the world, I go and see things. I managed to do it for 3 years and go and see all sorts of things. And I wouldn't be in this job if I didn't go and do that, because it made me so like confident and chilled out, and all these things that kind of help when you're creative. Like you need all them kind of, you need an open mind, but you also need to be like quite calm and a little bit sure of yourself to be able to make things happen. And I wouldn't have got that if I didn't go and travel, and I didn't pick up a camera when I was traveling, so it's got nothing to do with the job. But yeah, I don't know if there's any advice in there, but I think like essentially I had no idea, and I ended up here. How that happened, I'm not entirely sure, but I kind of fell into it, and I'm happy doing it.
Thank you. Almost forgot to unmute myself then. Rookie error. Serena?
Just to add to that, it feeds onto the making sure that you're happy in what you're doing, and that you can also change your mind. So when I first started in finance, I was doing VAT and bookkeeping and doing accounts for people, and it got a little bit boring. And I was just kind of like, where do I go from here? I've chosen this career path. What's next? Do I leave it? Can I change my little path that I'm on? But just remember that when you choose something, there's so many little things off the main. So finance is made up of so many different parts. And it was kind of like what Justina said. So she started at the Royal Exchange, and she's kind of moved around and done different things. And that's the same like with me in finance. So I started doing VAT and bookkeeping, and I've ended up with payroll because that's what made me happy. So I started on a path, and I've just adapted it to make it what I wanted to be. So you can always you can change your mind, and there's always a route out of unhappiness. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you're unhappy in something, you might necessarily like it for a couple of years, then get a little bit bored and want to change your mind, and you can, because there's always room, like even within a company. So there's something that is a term of like being seconded somewhere. So you can have a secondment. You can move to a completely different part of a company and still come back to your old job if that new place didn't make you happy. So you can change your mind. That's what I'm trying to say.
100%, 100%. And also that ability to be okay with changing your mind is so important as well. Just to be like, to not get too caught up in the idea of this is what I have to be doing now. This is the path that I'm on, and I can't like divert from it. Like that. It's not true. It is not true. Liam.
Yeah, I'd say one thing that I actually remember, and I don't know if it's for anyone else, but like, especially when I was late teenagers, like the age 30 seems to have this significance. Like by 30, you need to have discovered, you need to be in a career, you need to have done this, you need to like, and I've felt that early 20s, maybe late teenage years, but maybe I just wasn't really thinking future, wasn't really thinking ahead of that age, but like, I definitely felt it. And that's rubbish. Like that is absolute rubbish. I think that, yeah, I just think it was just such a weird thing. And I'm guessing maybe if people are feeling like who are watching this now, like if you get into a job and then you're getting to like your mid, like 26, 27 or something, and then you're like, well, I'm not enjoying this, but I'm nearly hitting this point where I should be sorted, I should be settled, I should have an idea. Nah, and don't feel like you're stepping back, because sometimes it can feel like that. If you completely change, it can feel a bit like, whether it's the pay, whether it's whatever, but you've got to, in the long run, you'll be so thankful that you made yourself happy by changing. Maybe you don't see it in that minute, but I'm telling you, you will. You'll be really, really thankful of yourself for doing it. Otherwise, you'll just be stuck for ages.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, you can't see the forest through the trees. You might not be able to see it now, but upon reflection, once you are out of the trees, you will be able to see the bigger picture. And that is so important, to just keep that level head that it you know, you will be able to see that soon. You might not be able to see it now, but you will be able to see it at one point or another. And just to echo that as well, like I'm 22, and everyone who I went to high school with is now graduating from uni. And it definitely does affect me. It definitely does make me think like, wow, am I behind? Like what am I doing with my life? Like they're definitely questions that you end up asking yourself, and they're definitely needless worries that you end up with, like such needless worries. And that kind of, and it's such a human thing to look at what other people are doing and constantly compare yourself. It is such a human thing, and it's such a hard thing to train out of yourself, but it's so important on your personal progression that you do try and do that, because you know, like what you're doing, regardless of where you are at, is just as valid as what anybody else is doing. You know, you looking for work is just as valid as somebody else completing their uni degree. Like there's no comparison. Everything is just as valid. Serena.
Yeah, so just to add to your point, I had that same experience. So because I chose to do an apprenticeship opposed to going to uni, all my friends were in uni and they were like in debt and they were just really having a good time. And here was me in an apprenticeship working 9 to 5, thinking, oh my God, I'm so tired. I actually can't come out tonight because I've just had a really long day at work. And so then I set myself different goals because I felt like I wasn't on par with them. So I set myself these goals that I was going to have. I was going to be happily married and I wanted 2 children before I was 25. And when I hit my 25th birthday, I'd realized that I'd done these things, but I didn't feel any different to my friends that didn't have that same path as me. We're still friends now, and we were all the same people. We've all grown up with the same experiences. So what I'm trying to say is, don't set yourself goals just because you're not on the same path as everybody else. Like everybody's path is different. So I just wanted to reiterate that I've had exactly that same experience. Don't compare yourself to others.
100%. Thank you. Thanks for that. And yeah, makes me feel better as well. So thank you. Awesome. I think we've got time for one last question. We're in the last, coming up to the last 5 minutes. And this question is one that I think everyone can feed into, because everyone's going to have a different kind of reaction to this question from the aspect that you kind of take within a theatre or within the wider industry. But is the industry truly as difficult and high pressured as it sounds? And I really like that question, because honestly, from like a younger point of view, learning about it, and as and from an outsider point of view, it seems so high pressured. It seems so like crazy, like there's stuff going on everywhere all the time, and it's just kind of like a big melting pot of all these creative practices, all these deadlines, all these finances, all these like kind of creatives all coming together, and sometimes it can feel like it can look quite overwhelming from an outsider's point of view, or someone who hasn't necessarily witnessed it. So I just wanted to hear from you guys as to, how high pressured, or is the industry? Does anyone want to go first? I can see those thinking faces. Serena.
So from a finance perspective, it is really high pressured. So I'll first talk about finance. So because we're a charity and we get a lot of grants and funding, we have to submit a lot of documentation, and we have to prove what we've done with certain pots of money. So that can be quite stressful, not just for the finance team, for all the employees. Everybody has their own budget, everybody has their own project that they're running, and they have to be able to justify that. So in that sense, it can be quite pressured from a finance perspective. And from a payroll perspective, it can also be a little bit crazy, because we'll have people coming and going, we'll have actors coming and going, we'll have different techs for different shows doing different things, sound technicians, lighting technicians. We might have casual staff in the wardrobe. We might have a bigger show, so they'll come in and they'll help Tracy. So it's always quite high pressured, but it's actually really fun, because you get to meet so many different people and you deal with a different experience every single day. So from a finance perspective, it is, but it's really fun as well.
Thank you. Anybody? Justina?
Yeah, I was probably one of those heavy thinking faces. It's a lot of what Serena was saying. To answer the question plainly, yes. However, it's a beehive. There are pockets where you're going to be able to find room to breathe and just be still. And then you're going to look down at your to-do list and be like, all right, I'm doing that one, and then just go again. So it's up and down. It's not constantly like, all the time. There are moments of like, no one can scream forever. There are moments of silence. There are moments of stillness. And there are moments where you're just like, okay, you and you, let's go do that thing together, and then come back and just evaluate and then go do that thing. So it's up and down, and it's really fun. And you're working with people, and we're all human beings. We support one another. When you're not able to do something, just let someone know. And maybe they might be able to take that off your back for a little bit, and then you can go take it back when you're feeling good and dandy again. It's more nebulous than a yes.
Thank you. Tracy?
I think it is quite pressured. You're working in a collaboration with a lot of creative people that each have their own opinion about things. So you've got to kind of have an open mind and be prepared for change, I think. And if you have that kind of adaptable kind of like mindset, then it's a lot easier for you if you can go along with things and know what your priorities are. The deadlines are pretty immovable. If you're doing a tech on one day and then you've got like 5 costumes get added 3 days before, then that can be a real pressurized situation. So you've got to get things on time, and you've got to get things to fit and to do whatever the performer needs to do on stage and satisfy the designer's needs as well. So it can be pressured. You get bigger shows which usually incorporate more pressure, and you also get small shows which, you know, you might get a bit more of a an easy ride on. So yeah, but it's what you're interested in, so that makes it less pressurized and more interesting.
Thank you. Ish.
Yeah, it's interesting, the pressure thing. It can be really pressured as an actor, but it's sort of like you're always hot on the hustle. You always want the job, and you're always kind of like running. You're on the hamster wheel. I want to get this job. I want to get something, and it can honestly feel like I really want something the whole time. And then you get in the thing, you get into a play. You have 4 weeks rehearsals, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less, and then you're in a tech, and then you're in a press night, and then it all happens very, very quickly. And then you're on stage for 3 weeks, and then you're done. And then it's like, oh, I need another job, and then you just keep going, and it can be like, and it keeps going and going, and putting yourself on stage obviously is, I mean, the problem is that it is all pressured, but God, it's a lot of fun. That's why I do it. I love it. So yes, it's pressure. It's good pressure. It's good to try and remember that's why you're there. Like that pressure is also what makes it exciting, and it is drama that we're in. Like it's not, it's not meant to be boring. But then I also work in A&E, so then I go, yeah, pressure, so so there's pressure, and then there's pressure. So one provides a little perspective on the other. That's all I'll say. Not to take away from the fact that these jobs are incredibly important, valuable, mean a lot to everybody that's doing it, and everybody wants to do a good job. I think it's important to take your work seriously, but just not take yourself seriously, and that way you can enjoy it more. That's it.
Definitely. Right. Well, I mean, yeah, that's all we have time for, which is a real shame, because I honestly could have kept this discussion going for ages. And I'm sorry to everyone who submitted a question who might not have had that question answered. I hope that throughout kind of the whole of this, this kind of live stream, that one point might have answered a question for you that might have been sitting at the back of your head. But I just hope this has been really useful for you. For any of you watching, and I'd just like to thank you all for coming along and kind of listening in and watching. I was about to say taking part, but there's not a massive aspect of taking part, but yeah, just listening and bearing with my waffling at times. But yeah, I also Justina.
Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to thank you as well, Isa, for holding this space so wonderfully and so energetically, and keeping it so running so smoothly. So thank you, and thank you for asking us.
Oh, no, thank you. And thank you for being part of it as well, guys. Like, honestly, it's been so brilliant. I've learned so much. So yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant for me. And I hope for everyone who's been watching, it has been really helpful for them as well. Thank you so much, guys, for all of this. And I hope that we can all meet up soon in person, and you know what, invite people to the exchange to host a live version. Now that'd be a dream. Fingers crossed. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your advice. And yeah, go forth and enjoy your weekend. I hope it gets a little bit sunnier than it is today, because it's pretty grey in Manchester at the moment. But yeah,